How's it going, y'all?
And welcome back to B-Bros. Season 2 final of The Mandalorian was an absolute blast and make us wonder what's going to happen in Season 3.
Today on B-Bros, we will have a full breakdown of Chapter 16, The Rescue, and reveal our theories and expectations for what's going to happen in Season 3.
Before further ado, let's get into the video.
Last week, we did not have a review of Chapter 15, The Believer, as Lucasfilm revealed the future of Star Wars with new projects on Disney Investor Day, which you can check out by clicking the I button. We won't be breaking down that episode today, but we have a few notes that are important to understand Din Djarin's character growth.
Mayfeld, of all people, played a major role in this character growth. He uses the words, "Seems to me like your rules start to change when you get desperate," in his chat with Din when they were infiltrating the Imperial factory. Din removes his helmet later in the episode to get the necessary information to find the child, which proves Mayfeld right and shows Din has changed his views. The Believer was all about Mando and Mayfeld changed their opinions of things that they were very strongly believing. In Chapter 16, we will see the effects of this on Mando.
Also, if you were wondering what Mayfield was talking about when he mentioned Operation Cinder to the Imperial officer, it is all from Battlefront 2 Story Mode campaign. We would suggest you check it out.
Now, let's talk about the rescue. First of all, the name Rescue at first glance seems like restoring the child, but in the end, we find out it's Luke Skywalker's rescue of Mando and his gang.
It has a deep meaning, like the Return of the Jedi, Episode 6 of Star Wars. The name of Return of Jedi sounds like the Jedi coming to the surface with Luke Skywalker, but in reality it is Anakin returning to the light side. We think there's a nice reference there.
The episode opens with Slave One attacking an imperial shuttle that carries Dr. Pershing. He is on his way to Moff Gideon's cruiser to continue his experiments with the child. Boba fires an ion cannon to disrupt the shuttle and get control of it as a disguise to board Gideon's cruiser.
Before that though, they stop at a sandy planet to get Bo-Katan's help. We can see Bo-Katan's Mandalorian fighter, Gauntlet, in the docking bay, which is the same vehicle Mandalorians used in the Clone Wars and Rebels.
After a tense conversation, Bo-Katan and Koska Reeves agree to help Mando rescue the child as long as Bo-Katan can defeat Moff Gideon to restore the Darksaber and use his cruiser for her efforts to restore Mandalore.
Bo-Katan is experienced when it comes to fighting with the Empire, so she makes the plan to gain control of the cruiser. They have some help from Dr. Pershing, who has actually been on the cruiser. He especially warns them about the Dark Troopers on board.
Their plan is to land on the cruiser without getting detected, and they use Slave One to make their performance more believable.
Boba Fett leaves after the shuttle is aboard. Writers were smart to not include Boba in this episode, as he would not be happy to see... well, you know who we are talking about.
In the cruiser, everyone except Mando goes to the bridge to gain control, whereas Mando goes to the cell that Grogu is held. Bo-Katan, Fennec, Koska and Kara do not have much trouble gaining control of the ship, whereas Mando has a hard time dealing with the Dark Troopers. Only the Beskar spear is strong enough to deal with these droids. After struggling but achieving to defeat one Dark Trooper, he ejects the rest to space, then moves on to the cell.
When he finds Grogu's cell, he also finds out Gideon is there. Gideon tries to play the nice guy to trick the Mandalorian as he's not confident in his one-on-one skill, or finds tricking him as a safer choice. He is using Mando's love for the child against him. Empire has always been good with manipulation and deceit. He is extremely confident in himself and very persuasive. He says that they extracted enough blood out of the child so they do not need Grogu anymore. At this point, Gideon tells Mando that Grogu's blood has potential to bring order back to the galaxy. Even though he's not truthful in this conversation to Mando, this tells us that the cloning experiments that Dr. Pershing is running with the leadership of Gideon are to clone Snoke or end Palpatine. We got into details about that in our Chapter 12 review.
Mando agrees to take Grogu and go separate ways with Gideon. Normally, he wouldn't walk away from a mission and abandon his friends. But the child is too important for him. Of course, Gideon does not hold his part of the bargain and attacks Mando. He definitely planned to take him down without giving much of a fight, but he underestimated the strength of Beskar and the skills of the Mandalorian.
After a quick fight, Mando takes down Gideon and takes him to the bridge with Grogu. The effects of the Darksaber on Beskar was not enough to cut it, but the heat released shows the strength of the Darksaber nicely. For example, when Ahsoka fought Elspeth, her lightsaber did not have the same effect on the spear. Darksaber is an extremely ancient weapon, which makes it more unique compared to a regular lightsaber.
Everything after Mando walks into the bridge is incredibly exciting to watch. Moff Gideon's confidence/arrogance continues even after he is captured. He has great knowledge about Mandalore and as a result, the Darksaber. He is aware of the fact that Bo-Katan cannot be the rightful ruler of Mandalore unless she defeats Mando in a battle.
Gideon seems amused by seeing the reaction of Bo-Katan. Before this topic is concluded, Dark Troopers come back from space. Everything is going well for Gideon. Everyone is waiting desperately to face the Dark Troopers, and they do not have a plan to survive, but they are ready to do their best.
At this point, the best 5 minutes of The Mandalorian starts. An X-Wing jumps out of hyperspace and lands on the cruiser.
Who can this mysterious person be?
Is the question on everyone's mind.
After that mysterious person steps out, the Dark Troopers engage with him. Of course, this is Luke Skywalker, and he starts taking down the Dark Troopers with ease.
For the first time, we see Moff Gideon freak out.
He doesn't know what to do and first shoots Bo-Katan. Then he tries to shoot Grogu, and when he's unsuccessful, he tries to commit suicide but fails again.
Also, we can see Grogu sensing who came in and he makes a connection with Luke. He might tell Luke where they are located when he connects with him through the Force.
Meanwhile, Luke is cruising through the Dark Troopers. His moves are very swift and reminded us about his father, Anakin Skywalker. He looks as skilled as him. Also, the effects of his appearance, skill, and power reminded us about Darth Vader's appearance on Rogue One. Luke destroying the Dark Troopers was as powerful, if not more powerful, than the scene where Vader massacred the rebels escaping Scarif. We actually have a reaction video for Luke's appearance, but it is too crazy to reveal to the public. When we look at our reaction, we can think about how he reacted as well. Everything Luke did was crazy.
Mark Hamill posted 2 photos on Instagram about this episode. Hamill's sense of humor is brilliant. He definitely looks excited to see himself on the screen again. It is nice to see him appreciating the work done on Star Wars.
Luke arrives at the bridge and reveals his identity. Mando trusts the Jedi and allows Grogu to leave with him to complete his training. Grogu and Din created such a bond that they do not want to leave each other, but their paths are very different, so they are forced to leave. We have a very emotional scene between the two. Din removes his helmet for the 3rd time in 2 seasons to say a proper goodbye to the being he values the most. He promises Grogu that they will see each other again.
Luke watching this scene must have reminded him about his goodbye to his own father, Anakin Skywalker.
R2-D2's arrival makes it easier for Grogu to leave with them. Luke leaves after saying the iconic "May the Force be with you," just like Ahsoka did. We can see tears from Mando's eyes as Grogu is leaving.
Luke came to rescue because he connected with Grogu when Grogu reached out to the Force on Titan. He definitely agreed to train him after rescuing him.
Luke taking Grogu where Ahsoka did not shows that Luke is no ordinary Jedi, and he was not trained by the Jedi Order, so he does not have the same ideals of a Jedi that was trained in the Galactic Republic, for example like Ahsoka Tano. After seeing the attachment Grogu has to Din and his fear, Ahsoka refused to train Grogu.
But Luke was a Jedi with all those feelings. He was arrogant, he was afraid, and had much anger in him.
I cannot teach you.
Also, he was too old to start his training, just like Grogu.
He is too old.
The old Jedi Order would not have trained him or Grogu, but due to his experience as a Jedi, he had no problem training Grogu and the new generation of Jedi, even if they did not fulfill all the requirements of the old order. This is the reason behind Luke's failure to recreate the Jedi Order and allow only one of his Padawans, Ben Solo, to murder the remainder of his Padawans.
This episode has an end credit scene which is new for Star Wars. The scene opens with the sunset of Twin Suns, Tatooine. We see Jabba's palace and inside Bib Fortuna, Jabba's first in command in Return of the Jedi, sitting on Jabba's throne. He became the leader of the Hutt clan after Jabba's death on Return of the Jedi.
Fennec Shand arrives and kills all of Bib Fortuna's men. Then Boba arrives and kills Bib Fortuna. He sits on the throne. Now he is the leader of the Hutt clan. This scene was to announce a new show called The Book of Boba Fett that will start streaming in December 2021. The word book sounds like the story will be a book, but it will actually be a show on Disney+. We will talk more about it in the remainder of this video.
Now it's time to predict and theorize Season 3.
We will move to a tangent before we do that though. In the latest research report by eMarketer, one of the key digital trends for 2021 will be that Disney will become a streaming heavyweight. eMarketer is a great source to get analysis about businesses based on data collected, and their reports are extremely respected in the business world. This news is showing the commitment of Disney to streaming, which brightens not only The Mandalorian's future, but the whole Star Wars' future.
Now we digress. We talked about some key points last season, like Ahsoka's journey to find Ezra, Boba Fett's future, Bo-Katan's quest to restore the Darksaber in order to restore Mandalore, the threat of the Empire, and Grogu's Jedi path, which all had linked to Din Djarin.
In order to theorize what will happen in Season 3 and predict the future of Din Djarin, these are key points to analyze. We will discuss all that is resolved, all that will happen, and all the new questions we have about the Mandalorian.
First of all, let's start with Ahsoka Tano. As Lucasfilm announced 2 weeks ago, Ahsoka Tano will have her own live-action series called Ahsoka. We believe the main reason why we saw Ahsoka in The Mandalorian was to have a little preview of that show. Probably Lucasfilm wanted to see fans' reactions to Rosario Dawson's performance as the first live-action Ahsoka. Even though she had a major role in The Mandalorian, we do not think we will get to see her in the next season. And even if we do, it would not be more than we saw in Season 2. She is on her own path now, which involves a conflict with Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Similarly, Boba Fett will have his own series, which we have mentioned earlier in the video. The Book of Boba Fett will start streaming in December 2021, and we are incredibly excited about it. We can say Boba Fett was more involved with the plot on Season 2 and can make a possible return even though he will have his own series. In the episode, The Marshal, Cobb Vanth and Din Djarin's partnership seemed it was going to continue in the future. We believe that partnership would continue in Tatooine. With Boba's strong leadership over the Hutt clan, we would not be surprised if the clan's influence over Tatooine would come back. I wouldn't know why Mando would need to go back to Tatooine for, but we expect an episode on it. Also, Boba Fett would not necessarily be an ally for Mando.
Restoring Mandalore can be one of the key topics in Season 3. Bo-Katan asked Din to aid other Mandalorians to restore Mandalore, and Din wasn't entirely opposed to the idea. There is a big conflict though. Now that Din owns the Darksaber, Bo-Katan cannot be the rightful ruler of Mandalore.
From what we saw of her in Star Wars, The Clone Wars and Rebels, she was not a great leader. She was a part of the terrorist group Death Watch, and after leaving them and becoming the ruler of Mandalore, she lost control of Mandalore twice. Also, she never really became the ruler of Mandalore before because she did not have the Darksaber at all the first time she was in power, and in her second time, she took it from someone else, Sabine Wren.
We believe Bo-Katan never owned the Darksaber fully before. Bo-Katan wants to lead the Mandalorians to restore Mandalore, but without the Darksaber she cannot. We would be surprised if she challenged Din to a duel, but it is the only way to get the Darksaber, so we do not rule this possibility out.
However, we think there's another alternative. We were not surprised to see Din wield the Darksaber because we expected him to rule Mandalore in the first place. Din removing his helmet in the last scene proves he has grown as a character and he has a strong personality as well. Maybe Bo-Katan has or will realize that she tried enough to lead Mandalore and believe it would be better if there is someone else in leadership position.
The conflict with Moff Gideon seems to be over now that the New Republic has him and his crew is destroyed. But the threat of the Empire continues.
Empire's control over Mandalore is present from what we learned in Chapter 11. We expect an Imperial officer at least as high rank as Moff Gideon to be a major antagonist on Season 3.
One of the most exciting things The Mandalorian added to the Star Wars universe is seeing different types of Imperial troopers, weapons and vehicles. We would not be surprised to see more.
It would be very interesting if somehow Grand Admiral Thrawn was linked to this story, but we doubt it. He had control over Mandalore on Star Wars Rebels, but after disappearing with Ezra, we do not know if he is still with the Empire or not. Also, Ahsoka had no clue where Thrawn was before extracting the information from Morgan Elsbeth, so probably Thrawn is out of the radar.
Grogu's Jedi path is the most interesting topic due to the fact that we know what happens to Luke's new generation of Jedi. Ben Solo turns into Kylo Ren and murders every Padawan, forcing Luke to live in exile as a failure. This is what the sequel trilogy told us, and this is the main reason why we wish the sequel trilogy was not released in the first place. We don't like seeing our hero Luke make such a catastrophic mistake.
We would hope to see some evidence that will show us why what happened was not Luke's fault entirely, but that might be a story unrelated to The Mandalorian.
So, what will happen to Grogu?
The obvious option is for him to die in the hands of Kylo Ren, which would prove Luke is a liar because he told Mando he would protect the child with his life. Even though Grogu is good at evading the attacks of ex-Jedi, we think he would not survive Kylo Ren. Kylo is 5 years old at this point, so in the next decade he would kill all the Padawans.
We think Grogu might have enough training in that time to leave Luke and rejoin Din Djarin. This is not a very likely scenario, but more of an ideal scenario for Grogu.
The reason why it is not likely is because of Grogu's growth. He is 50 odd years old but still looks like a baby. Considering he lives around 900 years old, he will not be old enough to become a Padawan in the upcoming years. Maybe in the upcoming decades, considering Yoda started teaching younglings at the age of 100.
We have never seen a species around this age, and maybe his growth will accelerate from now on and he will grow old enough in the next couple of years. Only then he would have proper training.
The second problem is, even if he had proper training the next few years, he needs to leave the Jedi Order to reunite with Din Djarin, as he would have Jedi duties otherwise. It looks highly unlikely that Grogu will survive, but we hope that he will. Next season might reveal some of these questions, but probably not all of them.
Mandalorian's future is open to many possibilities and we are excited for all of them. Expanding the Star Wars universe, meeting new characters and seeing the characters we know and love have been things that The Mandalorian perfectly achieved in its first 2 seasons, and we expect the show to continue this way.
When the series was first announced, we would not have expected anything like this. Today, The Mandalorian is amongst the best Star Wars content with the original trilogy, Revenge of the Sith and the Clone Wars. Therefore, we would like to end with a massive thanks to Lucasfilm, specifically to Jon Favreau, for bringing this story to us.
We will be back with more Mandalorian content as we get more information about Season 3.
Now that Mandalorian Season 2 is over, you can expect to see some non-Star Wars related content on the channel.
We will dive into the MCU as new Disney Plus shows are coming.
And also, we would like to make some DC Animated Universe content because we think that is as good as a superhero franchise gets.
Stay tuned for all that.
So, thank you for watching, we hope you enjoyed it, and for now,
Me Bros out.